Coverage of Championship Week is brought to you by Gate City Bank, Nodak Insurance Company, DuPont Pioneer, Shields, and Sanford Health.
We are finishing up our prep. Had good practice this morning. We'll have our last padded practice here in Fargo tomorrow before we leave on Wednesday. And so, 95% of the game plan is in, and we're continuing to just fine-tune the things that we need to do to hopefully be successful on the 6th. And the guys are working hard, and we know it's a big task. James Madison's a great program. A lot of respect for Coach Houston and their program. They do things the right way. They win games the way I think you have to win games, and you get into postseason, which is great defense, run the football, and have the ability to make explosive plays and not beat yourself. So we'll have our hands full. We're excited about the challenge, excited to go back to Frisco and have a great fan base down there like we've had in the past, and see if we're capable enough to pull out a win. So we'll open up for questions.
As you've been able to break them down, what stands out about JMU? How are they different maybe from last year?
They're not a lot different, I don't think, schematically. The quarterback's really, really good on offense. I mean, he obviously makes them go. They have a lot of weapons on the outside, and they have a really good tight end, a couple of running backs. That respect, they look a lot like they've been last year. I just think the quarterback's, he was great last year, and I think he's just he's that good, and he makes them go, and they're good up front. So they don't, they have the ability to just run the football at you and beat you, and then the explosive plays with the passing game. And then on defense, it'll be the biggest challenge we've faced as far as throwing the football with their pass rush, as well as they've excellent perimeter defenders.
Away from that Weber State game, can you take anything from it, and what stood out about it?
Well, you take a little bit from every game. Everybody seems to have one of those games in the playoffs where maybe they didn't play their best. Give Weber State credit. We know what a good program that is. But they found a way to win. And that was probably the thing that I took the most from is they were down and they hadn't been down most of the season. I don't think they've been down the entire season, and they found a way to come back and win. But there's some things that obviously Weber is different than us on defense, so probably schematically you don't. But other than the fact you take it away, they know how to win games when it's tight.
Chris, you have both the Jalens listed on the depth chart. What's the status of them?
Yeah, we'll find out. We're going to see on Saturday. We got to keep you in some suspense, Dom. Everybody's moving around. Let's just say that. And so I'm optimistic that guys will have an opportunity, but we'll have to wait and see on Friday or Saturday.
How about Brooks and Dunn?
I like that. We'll see. They're both moving around. We'll see what happens.
Chris, both quarterbacks had combined 62-6 record as starters, but neither one of them sniffed a award this postseason. Why I guess, in your estimation, the disrespect considering how good they are as just winners?
Well, for starters, I don't think either kid cares. Deep down, I think both kids just want to win, Easton and Shore. I think that's the most important statistic they all look for is the ability to win. Both teams probably have had enough of those games where they're not throwing the football in the second half or running them in the second half. We didn't run Easton hardly at all in the playoffs because we didn't need to. So you take away statistically there. But both guys, you think about the wins that they've had and big-time wins they've had in critical games. Both players, I think their teams know how valuable they are. We for sure know how valuable Easton is, and he's a guy that's a durable guy. He's always going to be around. He's a great leader for our football team, and as he goes, we go on offense.
Does that go for your team in general? You've never really had a lot of award winners despite the record.
No, and I think that's the culture of our program too. There's no one person more important than the other, and I don't care if it's a player, a coach, whatever it may be. It's all about the name on the front of the jersey, not the name on the back of the jersey. I think the last big award I know was Kyle Emanuel, but in the same respect, just with the amount of guys that we play on defense, the fewest snaps we play on defense, you're probably not going to have many award winners. And then offensively, because we rotate running backs, we always have a lineman, it seems like, and our quarterbacks have been pretty doggone good here in the time that I've been here since 2011, but none of them have gotten those All-Americans. But I think that's okay. They'd take the championships.
You talked about this after the Sam Houston game a little bit, Chris. Was Easton is going to get his chance now to be on stage at the National Championship? Can you just address that a little bit?
Yeah, Mike. I was. There's nobody that deserves to have the opportunity to play in a national championship game more than Easton Stick of what he did as a redshirt freshman. None of us knew what he was going to be when he got called into duty when we were 4-2 and just lost a game, and he comes in and rattles off 8 games in a row. And in the meantime, his best friend Carson is starting to slowly come back, and it was about this time that year that he got cut loose fully to practice, and Easton said all along that he was going to just hold the spot for Carson, and so he got us to that championship game as well as our run game and a phenomenal defense. But for him to lead us all the way up to that championship game, not get the opportunity to play in it, and then have the seasons he's had the last 2 years with the amount of wins and the big time conference championships, he deserves that opportunity to play on this kind of stage.
Handle it when you told him that he wasn't going to start in the national championship game? Did you tell him before you told Carson? Did you tell Carson?
I think we sat down and Randy was involved as well, and Easton knew. I mean, when you just watch him, I think it was more, rather than say anything to Easton, rather than say anything to Carson, let's see how Carson practiced. And then as we practiced into this week, the Monday, the Tuesday, and you saw him spinning it around like he did in fall camp or he did in any other game, I think it was just pretty much, okay, he's ready to go. And if he was ready to go, not everybody agreed with it, but he was going to be the guy that was going to have that opportunity just because of what Carson had meant to the program. And I thought as a redshirt senior, Carson deserved that opportunity to play, just like Easton did, but we went with the senior that day.
Have you heard anything from Carson lately?
I talk to him quite often. So, I mean, he's going through rehab and stuff, and I know he's frustrated that he's not getting an opportunity to play in the playoffs, but he's being a great teammate like he always would be.
Chris, is there a position battle you've identified that you have to win if you're going to win this game?
Well, I think we need to be able to run the football more than anything, Ryan. I think that's imperative because we're not – you don't go into a game and say you're going to throw it 45, 50 times against JMU and try to win the game. We have to be able to run the football in a variety of ways, whether we run with our conventional power game, whether it's our perimeter jet game, whatever it may be. I mean, everything's out there on film. It's just a matter of what can we do to try to crack them a little bit so that we can get into third and medium, third and short, and avoid the 3rd and 7, 8+, which we were in a lot in the semifinal game last year, where they could really lay their ears back and rush a passer and play really good man-to-man coverage.
Shepard joined your guys' coaching staff this year. What has he brought to your staff?
Well, experience as far as not being that far off from playing, and a guy that has been through it, played in championship games, had high success here at NDSU, had an opportunity in the NFL. The way he, just approaches every day with those players, having great energy. He can show techniques to corners and safeties, which Coach Klieman and I can't do anymore. So he has the ability to do those things, and those kids gravitate to Shep because Shep's a young guy that has a lot of energy and has a lot of wisdom for those kids.
Tested here since your semifinal game with trying to bring some young guys up to speed. How has he answered that call, and how confident are you knowing he's brought what you just had?
Yeah, well, it helps just because, with both Jalen's ailing somewhat and us not having school right now, he's been able to spend some extra time with Marquise and Josh Hayes and Dom Davis and trying to get those guys more up to speed and spending some extra time in film or after practice with some drill work. That's been really valuable to us in the fact that, we don't have classes. We're not under the 20-hour rule.
The game might be the easiest part come Saturday, but there's a lot of things leading up in the week, that you guys are down there. How much are you talking with the team about all the extracurricular events that are going on down in Frisco?
Well, most of the guys have been down there before, so they know what to expect. Even if you were down there as a true redshirt, you went through all the activities. That's something that we're so fortunate. Matt Larson and our administration allows everybody on our football team to go, which for the whole time, which is really unique. So a lot of our guys have been down there, but we've gone through every day to say, okay, here's what Wednesday is going to be like. Here's what Thursday is going to be like. And Friday and so on. The other thing is, and we were fortunate we had it in the second round of the playoffs, is an 11 o'clock start. That's a quick turnaround, and you're leaving quickly to go go or early to get to the walk, the team walk that you have, which I think is one of the neat things that they do down there, and our fan base is great for that. And then our alumni practice we have on Fridays, which is really special to me, and it's special to all of our team to see all the guys that put the jersey on before you. So we kind of go through a daily synopsis of what they're going to get into.
Change your routine at all from the previous 5 times, or is it largely the same?
Largely the same. All of it sometimes depends on when Christmas lands and stuff. We were able to do a little bit more on the front end this time with an extra practice before Christmas, and then we took our break and then have had one less day, so to speak, once we got back from Christmas. But I can't remember. You guys would know if it was 11 or 12, one of those years, and there it was only 2 weeks where we, it only took a couple days off, and that's the one you kind of throw out. But for the most part, we've stayed on course with the 3-week layoff that we've had.
The focus of this group, especially maybe the senior class that saw what it was like for those other guys to go out without a championship?
We don't talk about that specifically, but just a couple things we've talked about all year long. Embrace the target on our back. The target's on our back every friggin' week, and it's on our back every day. And the other thing is standard over feeling, and dominate that standard. The standard has been set here. It's a high standard. We like that high standard. Now go dominate that standard. And our guys have continued to impress upon those two things, that they're excited to get the opportunity to go back there, and especially those, we've got a bunch of fifth-year seniors. We have only, I think, one 4-year senior in RJ now, but a bunch of fifth-year guys that want that opportunity to go back there.
Is Riley Stapleton a poor man's Jake Winicky? From what you saw, he's really had an unbelievable last month.
Yeah, from a playoff standpoint, he's a rich man's, Jake. I mean, he's a difference maker, and he's really stepped up. I think when you look at the playoff run and late in the season, maybe I don't know if it was by design or not, didn't have a ton of explosive plays early on in the season, and all of a sudden he's really taken off, and he goes up and gets the football. And you always worry about a matchup when you have somebody that's big and strong against any of our corners. Exception, well, I guess both Jalen's are 6 foot, but the other guys are 5'10", and you've got to be able to track the ball, and you got to be able to go attack the ball. But we have to know where he's at. But in the same respect, they have a couple of other speed guys on the other side, so we have to do a good job of when we roll our coverage, or if we're going to play man, if we're going to play a lot of our too high stuff, which we've done in the past. So we've got to have a good chess match against them.
Back on RJ, the scene of the crime, so to speak, when he had that 1 minute better than almost any other. It's like the best 1 minute in NDSU receiver history.
Absolutely it is, and he's a guy that's really excited to get a chance to go back there. I mean, you talk about a guy that's made impact plays in the playoffs ever since he's been here. When the game's on the line, you want R.J. Urzendowski to be a part of the game plan and a part of the passing game, and that 1 minute or 3 or 4 catches that he had as a true freshman. And he didn't play like a true freshman that entire season, especially in the playoff run. I'm excited for RJ to have a chance to go back there and get another chance for a win a national championship. But he makes catches, and he made one in practice today, similar to the one he made at Youngstown today. And we're like, wow, I mean, just how does he do it? He just finds a way to come down with the football, and especially when the stage is really big.
Jabril Cox has been able to do down the stretch. Do you have to remind yourself that he's just a freshman?
No, he's not a freshman anymore, I don't think. It's no different than Robbie Grimsley at this time a couple years ago, or Bruce, or whoever it may be. You've played enough football now, and I know he didn't get into the lineup till mid-season, that, no, you can't be like a freshman anymore. And we kind of more remind him of, you're a veteran. And all of our young guys, you're now a veteran, because, we can't wait for you on things. And Jabril's integrated himself into the game plan where we don't have to take him out as much now, and we'll probably be in a little bit more of our base defense, just with the injuries we've had to defensive backs, which is fine. You keep Jabril Cox in the game too, but no, I think I'm excited for him to see how he responds to a big stage like this. But he's responded to every other stage we've put him on.
Kind of stepping up into that veteran role that you put on him.
Well, he's a quiet guy. He's not he's not a vocal guy yet, but he's a redshirt freshman, playing with a bunch of older guys, so he doesn't need to be. But he speaks. His play speaks volumes for him, and that's all we want him to do, is just keep playing fast, and with a real athletic frame he has, he takes away a lot of things.
Long snapper rank on the list of underappreciated positions in football.
Boy, we've got the best in the country. And I just love Fish. Fish and I have got a great relationship, been around him an awful lot, and always has a smile on his face. And boy, he's really critical on himself. And I'll tell him we were kicking one to the right, and he had the thing, and it caught Jackson just on the left hip, and he was so mad at himself. And I said, Fish, it can't happen, and he knows it. He is such a perfectionist. So he sat all day and just worked on it. But to know that we have not had to worry about that position for the last 4 years, and as on point as that guy has been throughout his career here, I'm excited for him to have the opportunity to play in a national championship to end his career.
Just accuracy makes it a long
Accuracy and timing. I mean, simple things where, as a holder, you're catching it and you're not having to spin it because you've already got the laces facing the correct way. Or as a punter, if we're kicking right and it's going to your right side, or we're kicking left and you catch it on your left hip, those are the things that make him so special. And it's, our frame for him is just right at the belt buckle, and he's not getting ones high, he's not getting ones at his knees. Jackson and Cam are really fortunate that they have somebody that is good as Fish is, and Fish will have an opportunity at the next level.
Chris, just Seth Wilson, as polished as he is, and he's come in and not only running the ball but catching the ball, pass pro. Is that unusual to find a guy that's ready to do all those things right away? Yeah, really unusual for him, but I credit Seth and credit Coach Mess and even some of our older running backs of challenging him all through August, and challenging him down on that second field to say, you got to figure this stuff out because we may need you sometime, or you're going to get an opportunity as a redshirt freshman to get on the field, whatever it may be. And so he picked up a lot of things and really studied the playbook. And then, that was a late guy that we had no choice when we lost Lance for the season. We had no choice but to play him late in the season when we were down to Adam and Lance and Ty and all those guys. And, I knew that there was potential that he was going to play in 3 games. And now, lo and behold, he's ended up playing in maybe 7 games or so. And he's been a big impact for us. And I don't think the stage is too big for him. He's stepped up big time in this playoff run and made some impact plays. And you don't expect that from a true freshman, but he doesn't play like a true freshman.
Chris, when you look at the game tape from last year, the wide receivers not being able to get separation, how much is that a big deal, knowing you have the same personnel back for the most part at the wide receiver spot?
Yeah, that's something we've worked on a bunch. Shep wasn't healthy in my mind that game. He came off the hamstring and had the long touchdown run the week before, which probably didn't help him. And so having a healthy Shep and a healthy Dimitri and RJ and us being able to move them around a little bit, and Easton being on point and some of those things, but it goes back to what we talked about early, trying to avoid the 3rd and long when these guys can just lock you up and rush the passer. It's something that we've put an emphasis on, and we have to do a better job of getting off press coverage without question.
The X factor special teams in the national championship, we've seen, block field goals, fake punts. How big is that in this game against you?
Yeah, it's big. There's a lot of hidden yardage out there that we have to win on. Whether it's something as simple as fielding a punt, they're going to move their pocket a lot on punt, or they're going to, what we call Ringo or Lucky, they're going to move their pocket and punt on the run. We have to be able to field the punts. We can't let them bounce and get a bunch of yards out of it. None of us really know what the turf's going to be like. I know it's grass, so it's not going to bounce as much, but it's probably going to be hard enough that it could, and we have to find a way to get a kick return. They're really good on special teams. I think we've improved on special teams by putting guys like Jabril and Levi and Chris and some of those guys on, and you'll see some more of those players on some of those special teams because we're not saving anybody on this for this week, and having Levi back on a couple of those teams is really going to be big for us.
Jordan?
Yeah, he's ready.
Is it to be in a 1 versus 2, a true national championship game?
Well, the other ones weren't true national championship games. You have to battle your way through the bracket. Aren't they true national championship games? No, I think everybody, as we came into the season, everybody expected us to be there. Everybody expected James Madison to be there. It's really hard to get there and to navigate all the things you have to navigate, whether it's the CAA or the Valley and then the playoffs. I think it's pretty cool that the top 2 teams, and I don't think anybody can argue to say, boy, one of us shouldn't be there. I think the best 2 teams are there. The 2 teams that probably should have been on this collision course this year, and so much respect for what they do. We've watched every game for the last 2 years on these guys. This is a great program that is doing it the right way with really, really talented players and a really good coaching staff. And watching them on film, the sixth time that we've been in this game, by far the best opponent we've played, not even close.
Words that former player practice and what that means to you, but maybe also what it means to your players?
Well, we always talk about playing for the guy next to you and playing for the guy before you, and we're doing it for all the people that have put on the Bison jersey back from the 60s, 50s. There'll be guys that have been there that played in the 50s, 60s, 70s, all the way up to last year's guys. And that's so cool to come out to that practice. And I think Sims will have 250-plus former players there, and then we'll bring them all together and share a few words. I will, one of our players will, probably one of the former players will, and then just to interact with those guys and thank them for laying the foundation for the culture of success that we have here. I mean, this North Dakota State's going to be really good long after I leave here. North Dakota State was good long before myself, Coach Bull, or anybody else was here. And that is due to all the guys that have done this before us, all the players, all the coaches. And it's neat for me because I still hear from some of those guys, hear from some of the former coaches and stuff, how proud they are of what these guys have accomplished, especially with the adversity like we all face, like everybody faces with injuries. And so it's a great time for those guys to get together with a bunch of former teammates that they may haven't seen for a while. And more guys are coming. The first year we did it, I guess there'd be 100 there. Now we're pushing 300 people there, and or 300 former players there. And it's a really neat setting that our kids really appreciate.
Grant Morgan at all?
Yeah, happy for Grant. Became a dad. He and Morgan welcomed a baby girl, and Grant missed, I think it was Tuesday practice when baby was born, and he's got a smile on his face. He's grinning ear to ear, and so happy for them. Everybody's healthy. Everybody's doing great, and now he's ready to go play. And he graduated in December. Now he became a father, and he's playing in a championship game. Good stuff.